What is going on, party people in the house on a Wednesday night? Rodolfo, he is a man that is trying to reclaim his title. So I see you, Rodolfo. Props to you. Keep doing the thing that you guys are doing. I'm very curious because there's a Texas men's basketball game that's going on live right now. I guess they're at halftime at this moment. I've been curious as how many people just decided they're going to switch over and not watch the second half of that. How many people are just gonna say, "Man, I'm good on that, bro. Y'all do your thing over there. I'm gonna check out." I don't know how many people are gonna watch it tonight. Some people will probably watch it during the replay. Maybe you guys have two screens going at the same time. But regardless, it's Wednesday night. You know what time that is. It's time for your drunk unk, and I am your host, Anwar Richardson. I'm in a really, really, really good mood tonight. So, hey, you know what I always tell you guys? If you've been having a bad week, don't worry about it. Drunk Uncle's going to make it a whole lot better. And if you've been having a good week, that's fantastic. Drunk Uncle's about to make it great. So we're going to have a fantastic time. You're right. I am Mr. Steal Your Girl. And by the way, speaking of Mr. Steal Your Girl, this show is brought to you by Eric Sells Homes DFW. That's a hell of a segue. Look, if you're looking to buy a house in the DFW area, sell a house in the DFW area, my main man Eric has got you covered. El Presidente, hit him up. Eric Sells Homes DFW. He's the guy, he's the man with the master plan. Like, you know, he will hook you up, take care of you. Now's about that time. Like, you start to look for a house. You know, you want to hit that market before it gets to the summertime and everybody's trying to buy that thing. So go ahead and do it. And Eric Sells Home DFW, my main man El Presidente. By the way, El Presidente, Tom G, I'm giving them the night off. So it's just me. It's just your main man tonight. So and then, you know, I've had people ask me, I'm gonna get to a promo in a second. I've had people ask me, like, you know, why do you have those guys on so much? Like, if people have asked me that, you know, multiple times, and I'm just understand. There's a rhyme and reason what Unc is doing. Someone emailed in to catch this week and wanted to know if Unc gotten lazy. And that's what Unc was doing. I was like, no, Unc has not gotten lazy by any stretch of the imagination. But as we try to grow this channel and try different things, there's certain things I was trying. I'm not unveiling everything about it. So I feel like if I say it right now, there's just going to be another competitor that's going to watch the show and then just going to do exactly what I was planning on. But understand, just know this. My main man, El Presidente, Tom G, have been great as far as being on the show. And I'm glad they were able to get the reps that they will need to potentially do something else on this channel. That's all I'm going to do. That's a little bit of teaser. Again, pretty much gives it away, right? But that's all it was. I want you guys to fully understand that it's all love for those guys. And I can't wait for the things that they're going to be doing in the future on this channel that will be separate from the show. Teaser. There you go. Hey, by the way, speaking of Rodolfo, y'all think you will let me join the show? My 21st birthday is on October 4th, 2023. Hell yes! Hey, Blake, do me a favor. Mark that down on the calendar because I may have a couple of drinks tonight and I may forget everything that Rodolfo just said. Mark that down. Rodolfo, October the 4th. I don't know. Rodolfo, yes, Rodolfo. If October the 4th is the day that I have a show, absolutely, you will be. Yeah, that's on a Wednesday. Absolutely, you're on. Yes, count it in, Rodolfo. You are the man. If I knew you a little bit better, I'll let you come to the house. But you know, I don't know you like that. But we'll definitely send you a link, and we'll definitely do it like that for sure. Hey, we also, but real quick, about paying bills before I get into like some of the things I really want to talk about. Orangebloods has a promo that's going on. I was kind of always tell you guys just to wait out. I know people in Rivals don't necessarily love when I tell you guys to wait for the hookups, but I try to take care of y'all. Like I try to make sure you guys are good. Like yeah, you could sign up in certain months, but like I'm telling you, I know when the promos are coming. I'm just telling you to wait. Wait for the promos. Like you don't want necessarily need to go Christmas shopping in October. Right? You waiting for Black Friday. Like you know when the hookup is coming. Uncle tell you when the hookup is coming. So get right now, we got a free trial, 30 days free. If you sign up before March the 13th, you will get 30 days free. What that means essentially, you get to get all of spring ball for free. So you want to know what all the thing about Orange Bloods is about when we start talking about war rooms and columns and all that kind of stuff, you would get that. But I think more important that you guys will really like, if you real Longhorn fans, and I'm talking about real Longhorn fans, it's a community, and it's so much different than just Twitter. Like it's a constant talking about the Longhorns on this message board, constant talking about everything else in life, travel recommendations. Like it's like your one-stop shop. I run into wives all the time that tells me like they can't get their husbands off of this thing. So I'm just telling you, like, do something for yourself. Just try it out for a month. You don't like it after a month, you're like, that thing was trash. All right, man, I appreciate it. But I get the feeling that if you do try it, you will enjoy it. So check it out, man. I'm trying to tell you, I really think you guys will enjoy it. There's the use that promo code Texas30 and sign up, and this way make me look good. Last time I'm gonna say, make me look good, because the last thing I want for the people of Revivals, when I'm telling you, hey man, don't sign up, just wait until this time to sign up, and then you guys don't sign up, and then they just gonna feel like I just it just is what it is. Next thing you know, Unc's gonna be doing his show from his new studio apartment. I don't need all that. So guys, go ahead and take care of that for me. This is kind of a big week for everyone. And by the way, I hope everyone's having a good week. And I know there's 73 people in the chat. I just let you guys know it's Unc today, all unfiltered. I do have a drink in my cup. I hope you guys have a drink in your cup as well, because I'm definitely going to be talking football. I've really got a lot to discuss as far as football is concerned. It's good. This is one of these fun shows for me because I kind of get to talk to you a little bit about the NFL stuff that I used to do, because it's Scouting Combine week, right? And we've got some Texas stuff that really to talk about, but I really get a chance to talk to you about my wheelhouse, the thing that I used to do before I got here, some of the insights and some of the behind the scenes things that I really get to say a lot more of now, especially because I don't cover the NFL. So I really don't care. I don't have a dog in the race. I can say whatever I want to say. I'm not really trying to get back to covering the NFL or anything like that. So I'm really free to say or do as I want. It's kind of a cool thing to be. So yeah, I'm going to definitely get into that. Let's start here with this whole thing that you guys have all seen this week, or let's say this week today, on Jalen Carter, right? You guys have seen it. I know everyone has an opinion on this thing. And I know you guys will give me your opinions in the chat. And thank Nick, man, I appreciate you as well. Thanks to for listening and watching. Okay, someone said take another shot to remember what happened last. Y'all are funny. But anyway, my kid had basketball practice tonight, so I had to run for basketball practice out in Hutto to get them back here, throw some Kraft macaroni and cheese in the microwave, put that thing down, throw something on, and then come to you guys. So I really haven't had a chance to have a drink or nothing like that. This right now is like the first sip of anything I've done. So the Jalen Carter thing was so fascinating today. And then, guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar. The guy from Georgia who comes to find out after saying he wasn't really involved in anything in the night where there was the car accident where the recruiting person, the person in the recruiting department gets killed, one of the players get killed, and two other people get injured. Kind of went from like I wasn't involved, I wasn't doing anything to that, to everyone finding out like, oh yeah, by the way, he was drag racing. He was drag racing on that evening. And so that comes out. There's a warrant that's out and all that. Now, what's interesting is it's a misdemeanor, right? And so because it's a misdemeanor, you guys have been around this a long time. He's got good attorneys. He's represented by a good agent. So at the end of the day, there's probably going to be nothing that really happens to him. It's a headline, but it's a misdemeanor. So you guys know what that means. Like it's just there's nothing that's going to come of it. And I've heard a lot of people and I've read a lot of people kind of talking about this. And trust me, I got a lot of combine stuff that I'm going to talk about. But this was the end of the headline of today. Had a lot of people say, man, what about his draft stock? What about his draft stock? This thing could happen. Maybe his draft stock was going to plummet. Like this whole thing is the poor, not poor guy. No, not too many people saying poor guy. So let me rephrase that. But a lot of people saying like that, this whole situation sucks. Opinions about him as a person, all that other kind of stuff. But I'll speak to this. I'm not going to get into, the whole who's wrong, who's not wrong. At the end of the day, it doesn't really change with the final outcome, right? Which is a young lady lost her life, a young man lost his life, and everyone is associated with them, family, friends, are scarred forever. Like no one's ever the same, But let's talk about his draft stock. And I did the NFL for years, y'all. NFL for years. And you guys have followed the NFL for years as well. When it comes to his draft stock, at the end of the day, ain't never gonna happen. There's nothing that I got to keep it a buck with you guys, and you guys have to understand that the NFL is not the morality police. They are not. The NFL is not that group of people that is worried about your religion. That is not what the NFL is about. The NFL will not give a damn when it's all said and done. I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm just keeping it real. I know there's the headlines that are out there, but you got to think of the history of the NFL and everything that happens within this league. Think about the people. Darwin points out Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis got arrested. He was charged with something. He gets. He obviously gets off. I mean, still a dead body. Ray Lewis is a Hall of Famer, right? Everyone just kind of moved on, from that whole situation. The NFL is a bottom line business. That's all it is. Can you win? Can you be available, and can you help us win? And if you can be available and you can help them win, they don't give a damn about what you do in the NFL. They do not care. And I covered that league for years. And I can tell you, they don't care about those things. Now, they care about things when it takes a little bit of an image. But what's going to happen is, if there's anything that's good for that young man as far as his draft stock is concerned, this story came out March 1st. Because if it comes a little bit closer to the draft, it's a little bit like, oh, what just happened, right? Who was that guy that they saw who was smoking weed with the gas mask on? The guy from Ole Miss, right? And he was smoking the weed, but it had the gas mask on. And it came out like the day of the draft. Someone had like leaked that video, and I can't remember that dude's name, right? And so that kind of like threw people off, where they were like, oh, damn, that was whoa. I don't know if we can draft that guy. Let me tell you, Tunsil, thank you so much, Darn. Let me tell you about how the NFL operates, okay? If I get sued, you guys have to help me out. You need, if I set up a GoFundMe. So the NFL, and I know this, when you become an NFL player, and then I'm just trying to explain how this whole thing works. When you become an NFL player, they give you a number. It's a special number, phone number. And that number is, if you get in trouble, you call this particular person. Now, that particular person usually worked for the police force in that city for a number of years. That person is the liaison. So if I'm out, Unk's out, and I've been drinking, and all of a sudden I'm getting pulled over, I call the number. Of my special guy, and I was like, hey, man, I just got pulled over. I'm on such and such. I'm on, 183 and whatever. I need your help. And then that guy springs into action. He makes the call in order to potentially help this whole situation for you not getting in trouble. That's his role in this whole thing. He's security, but he's also kind of like, whatever the word is, but he's the person that's in charge of making sure you don't get in trouble. Every team has that guy that that's assigned to you because they know guys are going to get in trouble, and he's the person that's assigned to make sure it doesn't get out, it doesn't get public. That's what happens. I can tell you, when I covered the league, that guys knew when the drug tests were coming. They knew. They would be in the line. They would tell me when the drug tests would come. Hey man, I gotta get clean. I gotta get clean because I'm getting tested in such and such week. So I gotta stop smoking and then I'll come back to it. Right. They knew exactly what it is, usually in training camp. It usually get tested once a year. And they knew exactly the dates were. That's why I will always tell you, if a person gets busted for and fails a drug test, they really are not trying. I mean, like, exactly. That's like you being at your job and them having a random drug test, but you know exactly the date that the random drug test is going to be on, and you still fail it. Like, at that point, you ain't trying. You were just being young and dumb, and you just don't give a damn at that point, right? So that kind of thing happens within, the NFL. I knew they're and they do in-house things. This is all for setup for stuff. So don't worry, I'm going somewhere for all this. I've known dudes who told me they got burnt, and you guys know what I mean when I say that you got burnt. I mean, like, they got burnt, like pissing out razor blades, kind of burnt. Like, they went to the strip club, messed around with someone, and they got burnt. Like, and they don't have to go. They don't have to go to some walk-in clinic like you and I would have to go to. Like, they'd literally just go to the in-house doctor. The doctor gives them the penicillin, and then they're like, okay, I've got my penicillin. Like, they'll take care. They take care of all that. They keep all that in-house. I say it all to say, when it comes to the character thing, the NFL doesn't worry about character. They just worry about, can you win? They put a system in place that is designed to make sure that if you step out of line, if you fail, if you struggle or do anything that's messed up, for the most part, to your point, thank you, Baron, the wolf, they've got the wolf, right? And that is what you got to know. So as relates to Jalen Carter, who, by the way, I'm told, I gotta verify this, that he's represented by Drew Rosenhaus, which, if there's anybody that knows how to handle scandal and help someone make that thing go away, and at least help a client get past it, it would be Drew Rosenhaus. Drew Rosenhaus, obviously representing, as you guys know, one of good friends of mine, Warren Sapp, back in the day, who, by the way, on draft day, had a bomb dropped as far as his whole thing and him failing a drug test. So I just say it all to say, I think the Jalen Carter thing is out there. I think there's a lot of people are going to be upset about it. But at the end of the day, I don't think it affects him, at all. People talk about civil suits. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that thing works. I don't know how he's more liable for something when someone else was driving a car and that person had a 1.97, blood alcohol level. So I don't know how that thing works, but I just know where we're at as far as that thing is concerned. So just want to put that out there and keep moving on to some more scouting combine things. So the scouting combine is a really interesting thing because we'll talk about that this week. And yes, I'm definitely going to get into Bijan. Like, don't worry about it. I've got the Bijan thing coming, and I've got a lot to say about Bijan. But the scouting combine is kind of set up like this. I'm just going to give you some behind the scenes things as it relates to the combine, so you guys kind of have a better understanding of this. I want you to have a working knowledge of this thing because you guys don't get a chance to go to it. But I got a chance to go when I covered the NFL for years. I got a chance to go to Indianapolis. Essentially, what happens is you get to Lucas Oil and you get set up in this room, and this big room, and media members go to this thing because you get an opportunity to talk to the GMs. They're all the GM, every single GM is interviewed at some point there. There's usually coaches around, so you get a chance to potentially grab a coach and talk to them. Usually, the PR person will set that kind of thing up where you get a chance to talk to the coach, and so it's a good opportunity in the off season for coaches and GMs that you haven't talked to since the season ended to really have an opportunity to talk to them here, unless you went to the Senior Bowl. And so they put everyone in the media in a specific room, and then they just bring folks in. Some folks you get a chance to go in the stadium and watch, but it's only a small group of people. Like it's a small group. You got to request it. You got to get a like. It's not like every media member just gets to sit. I'll be honest with you, and be quite honest with you. You guys have just a good advantage point about everything that's going on in the Scouting Combine as any of the media members there. The only advantage that they have over you guys is, for the most part, they get the interviews with players and they get the interviews with the GMs and administrative people, like those kind of things. They get to do some networking. But from actually watching it, I was there. I'd sit at a table and watch it just like everybody else. That's just how the combine goes. But it's a good networking event, and if you're around there, you will see coaches getting lit. I am talking about head coaches in the lobby getting lit. I'm talking about lit. And I'm not going to mention anybody's name because that probably will get me a lawsuit. But I know of two coaches. Man, one day, the stories I can tell, but I know of one former coach, one current coach, that these guys were so drunk back in their younger years that they just said they were just going up and down Indy, just screaming, drunk driving, but still having their blast. And so you get to see all those kind of things. But I want to also break down to you this whole thing. Like, this is misnomer that media people put this stuff out there, and I don't understand why. I think some of it's to drive clicks, and I do believe that. And I think everything is, everything on the internet, so we're clear, is designed to get clicks, right? That's what this whole thing is designed for. But the whole, how they explain the process of the combine and pre-draft stuff, it's mind-boggling to me because it's not right. It's wrong. Literally the shit that they're telling you. My kids are up. And my kids keep giving me a hard time about, Blake, are you coming in or something? I just heard a beep. I don't know what the heck had just happened. But my kids give me a hard time about using cuss words. Like they are really on my ass about this. I'm not gonna lie. And there's certain words that I did not know were cuss words that I've been told are like, I'm not allowed to say stupid anymore. I didn't know, but apparently that they're told that they can't. I'm not supposed to say it. So I didn't realize how often I said it until they kept telling me how often I said it, and now it's just really tough. Like I'm like, just don't say what Daddy says. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Just y'all know. Not like you ain't saying it at school. But anyway, so here's what they say in the Scouting Combine. This is what folks would lead you to believe. They're going to try to lead you to believe that a lot of guys' stock are going to be rising or falling based on the performance in the Scouting Combine this week, and that's just not true. It's just Doris, that's so funny. That's stupid. Let me explain to you how scouting works, okay? And so you guys have a good understanding. So when you start hearing things during college football season and like the end of, so we'll start hearing about like the 2024 draft, right? So maybe before college football season, you'll hear about these anonymous scouts that start saying like, oh, I think this guy's a first round. I think this guy's a second round. I think this guy is this, and this, right? So those people who are usually talking are what they call regional scouts. They're assigned to a specific region. So Anwar goes out, and I'm assigned to keep tabs on schools in Texas and maybe a couple of other states. And I'll talk to coaches. I'll get some information. I'll do my paperwork, and that's it, right? But then that regional scout that essentially turns in his paperwork and gets it to someone else, right? The people that he answers to. And all that regional scout for the most part is doing is just gathering information at that moment. Then what really happens in the scouting portion of it is when the season ends, the head coach and all the assistant coaches, they take all the information and then they start kind of going through the film and they start figuring out, okay, who are the guys that I really like, because they're not relying on some regional scout. And so what often happens is that they look at what the regional scout wrote, they start watching their own film, and those coaches say, I don't care. And they get their own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that, and then what happened is, then when they go into the draft, every team I've ever covered has told me this. When they go into the draft, they will tell you the draft board's already set. They will tell you their draft board is already set. They go into the draft already, it's already written down. And I've been in the rooms, I've seen it. I literally have seen it. What did Jimmy say? Hey, drunk, someone stole your podcast name, Uncle Laser from Kill Tony. I don't know what that is. You got to give me a little bit more on that.
Hey, Uncle Laser's pretty funny, but it's not a podcast name, I don't think.
Well, who is Uncle Laser or Lazar?
He's an up and coming comedian. He's on the Kill Tony show, which is a big comedy podcast hosted here in Austin.
Oh, well, I'll have to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. I was unaware, but I mean, it is no disrespect to the people who did it, but did he start a Drunk Unk podcast?
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I do know who Uncle Laser is.
Oh man. Oh yeah, I'm suing. Nah, just joking.
Look, you got to after the show, you need to look this guy up, and you're going to get a chuckle because he is a hilarious character. Like a
Does
massive,
he wear a hat?
He's got a fedora. He's got a huge mullet. Country guy. He used to work on the oil rigs. He's a pretty funny character, but
okay. Anyway. Hey, listen, well, maybe the unks can combine and do a show together one day if that's the case. You got to look it up. You got to look at it. I'm really not familiar with this. You guys are schooling me on something new. Blake, I know Blake will send me all the information. So What happens is, thank you guys. What happens is most of the draft boards are already set. And so what happens is all these media members, they'll start talking about, the stuff, stocks going up, stocks going down, stocks going up, stocks going down, like all that kind of stuff. You'll probably hear that about Bijan. You'll probably hear that about DeMarvion, Roshan, all that kind of stuff. They don't say it's based on the performance. But what every GM has ever told me is that they use the combine for the most important thing to them. The combine is for them is to get medicals. Is to get the medicals and have doctors look at guys that they haven't had a chance to really look at. And then that's when you get to learn about all the things that the pre-existing heart condition that no one knew about, right? The heart murmurs that no one was ever, knew or was able to detect or anything to that effect, injuries that maybe at the end of the day, a guy may have played with, but at the end, he's still not healthy. He's still hurt from, like, all those kind of things is what and they really value the medicals. Just so we're clear, that's where the combine really became is instead of having to go, one person having to go to all these different places to get checked out, and being the one place that you can go and get checked out and kind of go from there. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you signing up, my brother. Thank you so much. I think you're going to enjoy it. You have my permission that after 30 days, I want you to come and give me a report. Give it 30 days, Chris. Do yourself a favor. I did a couple of different things. For free trial, new promo, Texas 30, get free 30 days of Orangebloods just to try it out, just to see how it is, see if you like it, get on there. But do yourself a favor. So you're going to see like sticky threads, but with the stuff that we write as staff members, but then you'll just go and see what the community offers. Just watch the community first, right? Just judge it first for a second. Don't just jump in. Don't jump in. Don't do double dutch and just going right in, like right away. Just give it a second, kind of learn it, then kind of introduce yourself to everyone. wait a couple days and say, hey, I'm new to Orangebloods. Actually do this, Chris. Do this, Chris. Here's what I want you to do. This is exactly what I want you to do. Actually, I want you to do the opposite. Tomorrow, Chris, right around like 11 o'clock or so, I want you to introduce yourself. Say, hey, I'm new to Orangebloods, signed up for the 30-day promo. Hey, what do I need to know? And then see the reaction. And then you're going to have actually a blast, and you're going to really enjoy it. Then you're going to say to yourself, okay, I'm at home. This is where I'm at. 51 to 46, money out the anus. Okay. By the way, all right, I'm gonna get back to this stuff. You guys have been asked about Kieran, and so I want to make sure I address that because you guys have asked about this. Kieran's deal with Orangebloods, I think, I don't know the specifics, but it did expire a couple of weeks ago. As of this moment, I think Kieran is working on some other projects. So I'm not quite sure how that whole thing is going to work out in the future. But I feel like he had a great show. I enjoyed it. I love Kieran's content. I really think he does a fun job, a good job. So I don't know at the moment if Kieran's going to be back on OB and how that whole thing is going to work out. But I hope for him it was a positive experience because I enjoyed seeing him, and maybe hopefully in the future, he could be a guest on my show and come on. But like I said, he was good guy. I really enjoy him. Like I said, I got nothing but positives to say about young blood. He's got a lot of energy, which is what I really like about him. Like he talks fast. Like he's a fast talker, and I'm a slower guy, but he's kind of like that almost East Coast. East Coast people talk really fast. I'm a Southern boy, so we're a little bit more Southern, a little bit more deliberate. But I think so for you guys were asking, that's the situation with Kieran. And hopefully as the station, the YouTube channel grows and things to that effect, hopefully we can revisit it. So, but shout out Kieran, really good dude. Really like him a lot. So that's just where we're at as relates to the draft, the combine, all those kind of things. I just want to make sure you guys understood that whole situation. So let's tie this all in. Rodolfo, I don't know why people think you're my burner. But yeah, I do appreciate the kind words. Let's tie this whole thing into Texas, right? Like, so it's a whole thing. Like, where are you going with all this thing? This whole combine / pre-draft process ends up being a really, really important one, I believe, for the University of Texas, for your Longhorns. The reason why this thing becomes, I think, important, and this year is really important, is because of what happened last year as far as the NFL draft is concerned. And what happened last year? Nothing. Nothing, not a damn thing, nada, zip, zero, zip, nada. Just nothing happened for Texas as far as the draft is concerned. And Texas really is at a point where take the next step as to where they want to go as a program. And I say as a next step where they want to go to the program. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the SEC. To go into the SEC, to be able to compete in the SEC, and to be able to recruit consistently in the SEC, Texas has to be able to show people that we're going to be able to put you in the league. That's it. Bottom line, that's what counts, and that's what makes, I believe, this draft incredibly, incredibly important for the University of Texas. And I do foresee that there's going to be some success here, right? I think we're not going to be sitting around, on day 3 talking about, I wonder if anybody's going to get drafted, because boy, I don't know what's going on with these folks. I wrote something a couple of weeks ago, and I did some research for a column. Let's just talk about the SEC and what they was able to do kind of within the draft. Okay, so I'm going to base everything I'm going to read off of you is what I got from a release for 2022, so last year's draft, about the SEC. All right, so we can have an idea of what Texas is stepping into and why this year is important. And this will be a bounce back year, obviously, for Texas. This is a bounce back year, but this is why it's going to be important when you start thinking about the totality of the programs that you're going to go compete against. So it said for the 11th time in the last 12 years, of course, the SEC led the nation in first round draft selections, and they had 12 first round draft picks last year. Okay. During the last 16 drafts, the SEC had 159 players taken in the first round. Last 16 drafts, 159 players taken in the first round. That's an average of 10 per season for one particular conference, right? It said for the fifth time in the last 6 NFL drafts, 10 or more players from the SEC were selected in the first round. I mean, they're killing it as relates to the first round. Like you go to the SEC, you clearly know what time it is. And the SEC has 135 first round draft picks since 2010. Now, there's a lot more stats I can get into, and I can go everywhere else. But let's just talk about first round draft picks per conference. Okay, this first round. Last year, the SEC had 12. The Big Ten, they had 7. The ACC had 4. I said the SEC had 12. The ACC had 4. The Pac-12 had 4. The AAC had 2. The FCS programs had 2. Independent programs had 1. The Big 12 had 0. The SEC had 12 first-round draft picks last year, and the Big 12 had 0. How the hell do you recruit and get people to come? You want to know why you're happy to go into the SEC? That's why. That's why. Do you know how hard it is for Steve Sarkisian to sit in a young man's living room and try to sell them on the University of Texas? And when they start talking about, yeah, but I want to play in the NFL one day, because they all want to play in the NFL one day. That's every young man's dream. Like that, you just can't take it away from them. They all want to do that. And could you imagine sitting in a living room? Could you imagine what happens if they're not going into the SEC in 2024? What Steve has to try to sell somebody? I mean, hey, come and play against, come to the Big 12 to play football, because you're definitely not going to be a first round pick. How about this? How about this stat? I'm gonna get in Bijan in a second. How about this stat? Because it's all going to bleed in. First round selections since 2010. Now, I told you a couple of times that the SEC has had 135 first round selections since 2010. Do you want to know how many the Big 12 has had? 135, right, for SEC. You want to know how many Big 12 has had? 42. What? Yes. What is someone do the math on me of that? What's 135 minus 42? I should know this off the top of my head, but hold on. 135 minus 42. 93 more players than the Big 12. Whoo! 135 for the SEC, 64 for the ACC, 64 for the Big 10, 53 for the Pac-12, 42 for the Big 12. You want to know why you're happy to go into the SEC? That's why. This is why all the little things count, and all the little things add up. And that's what brings us to Bijan. And that's what makes this so, I think if you're a Texas fan, makes this an exciting time for you. Makes it an exciting time for the program, because Bijan's success it's great for Bijan. And it's great for him as an individual, because he's an amazing young man. Just an amazing, fantastic young man. You guys don't know this portion about Bijan, but during one of his last press conferences, I think it's very last one that he had here, he told us how, hey, the media, I just want to thank you guys for covering me. I want to thank you guys for all the positive articles that you that you wrote about me. And I just want to tell you thank you so much, because it meant something to him. And then Bijan went and shook the hand of every single media member who covered the team. Every single one. Yes. Every single one. That's how good of a human being that dude is. That's how good of a human being he is. That's why I'm telling you, some team is going to fall in love with Bijan when they do the interview. And because they do interviews at the combine. When I say interviews, after the workouts and things to that effect, they go and meet with certain teams. And that's not always the precursor of that team's going to draft you, because a lot of teams, they just meet with guys just to meet with them. And sometimes they meet with folks to throw off the scent. And sometimes they don't meet with guys because they are interested in them. And they already done their due diligence, and they don't want other people to know that I'm interested in. So you may see something where, okay, maybe the Eagles don't interview him because they don't want everyone else to know they're they're interested in him. But you guys heard what Will Anderson said today. I know you guys are happy. Will Anderson, the Alabama stud, was asked about who's the toughest player that he's played in college. Without hesitation, he said Bijan Robinson. Without thinking, Will Anderson said Bijan Robinson. Yes, Rodolfo. Yes, to answer your question, everyone got a handshake without question. And think about what that means when you start thinking about all of the tough players that Will Anderson has played throughout his entire career at Alabama. And for him, at the end of the day, it was Bijan, your guy, your Longhorn, that he was the toughest player that anyone has gone against. It's interesting, too, because Blake pointed this out to me. I was able to go and find it. Or actually, he sent it to me, so I apologize. He sent it to me, but on the NFL.com website, there was a personal exec for an NFC team that was asked about Bijan Robinson, and this was a quote. He says, he has to eat. The more carries he gets, the more damage he does. I know it's not popular, but I would draft him in the first round and just give him the rock as much as I possibly could. He's a much tougher runner than Saquon Barkley was coming out. Wait, I'll say that again. He's a much tougher runner than Saquon Barkley was coming out. I mean, we know where Saquon was drafted. So what does that mean for Bijan? Now, again, I mean, for somebody to say something like that, that's what I'm telling you. I'm convinced that someone's going to fall in love with Bijan and take him way earlier than we're thinking. He may fall, and Unc may be wrong at the end of the day. I've been wrong before, so I wouldn't, I've been married multiple times. I mean, shit, we know I've been wrong. But at the end of the day, I think there's going to be a team that falls in love with him and that takes him high. It's a good scouting report that's on Bijan. I want to read all of it, but on the website, they called him, full menu back, blending of smorgasbords or position specific traits that allow him to affect games. Well built, compact lower half, pairs a low center of gravity with agile feet. And then again, there's more that I can say, more that I can get into. What's up, Nate? But at the end of the day, he ends up being someone that will probably be your first round draft pick. since what year was the last one when Malcolm Brown was taken? Was Malcolm Brown 2015 or 2016 was that draft? But he ends up being probably the first guy since then that comes out. So a first round pick, which again, feather in the cap not only for Bijan, feather in the cap for Steve Sarkisian, feather in the cap for the program, the coaching staff, like all that. And then you start going down the list of guys, right? You start going down your Roschon Johnsons in the world. Now again, I feel about regional scouts. But a regional scout said he plays slow, but he's a bulldozer. He's gonna test way faster than he plays. He can special teams and get tough yards. So there will be a place for him. And I believe that. Now that portion I do believe. I believe that Roschon Johnson has got a home on special teams. Like I'm absolutely believe it. And that's not an insult. Like it's okay to say you have a role on special teams, a home on special teams. Like all that is okay. And now think about this. Bijan goes first round, which is very possible. Roschon could go third round. And which can I just say this? If that happens, this has to be the poster child to players, especially Longhorn players. Don't fall in love with the transfer portal. Stop. Make it work where you're at. The one thing about NFL scouts is they will find you. Don't have to worry about it. They will find you. And there's this whole belief that I've got to go to all these other different places, go in the portal, because if I'm not playing, they're not going to find me. Roschon Johnson was a backup and is looking like a person who could be a day 3, I say day 3, day 2 to day 3 pick. 4th round, 5th round. I don't think most of us expect him to go past the 5th round, right? That's probably not going to happen, but he's probably somewhere in the 3rd, 4th range, right in there. As a guy that's a backup. Now he's a contributor. I asked Roschon last year about, the mindset of a backup and how does he approach it and things to that effect. He didn't like the question. Because he said, I don't view myself as a backer because I play on special teams and I contribute a lot on this team. I feel like I contribute just as much as everyone else. He didn't like the backup label, which is fine. I respect that. But that guy has been so solid. I mean, the one thing I think is really amazing about Roschon is that he's not really a guy that put the ball on the ground much. Like, when he had it, he had it. I mean, you guys remember back some of these games that he played in when Roschon had the ball. He was just always a good, solid running back. LSU game, so remember for that, just a good, solid running back. 2 running backs. How huge is that for Texas? How big is this? And I wrote this over the weekend. And now that some of you guys are Orangebloods subscribers, you'll be able to see stuff before it happens. Some of you might say, well, heck, if you're going to tell me what happened on Orangebloods, why should I subscribe? Because I'm only telling you a little bit. But there's a lot more that's going on that you don't know about that you will get a chance to know about and learn about going forward. But how big of a thing will it be to be able to tell a guy like Malik Murphy, hey, dude, all you got to do is just wait your turn and then you're going to be okay. I was thinking about Malik today, or the other day, and I thought to myself, if all Malik and really Sarkisian has to do is get this thing running to the point, because I'll tell you what the thought process is behind the scenes. The thought process behind the scenes is Quinn Ewers has a great season this year. He balls out. He goes pro. Malik Murphy has a great season 2024. He balls out after 1 year. He goes pro. Then comes Arch, and then he's able to play, and then eventually go pro. Until you say, well, that's the ideal world. But where that wasn't the ideal world a couple of years ago? It wasn't the ideal world for Oklahoma. Where it was an ideal world, it wasn't so unrealistic, or whatever really I'm trying to say and get to. Oklahoma was able to do something similar to this. They had Baker Mayfield. And yeah, I know how we feel about him as a person, but they had Baker Mayfield. He goes pro. And then who comes in after him? Kyler Murray, 1 season. He's a first-round draft pick. Then comes Jalen Hurts next season, 1 season, and he's a high draft pick, right? And if you're Texas, you tell yourself that's what you want. You don't want to be like OU. But you want to be able to emulate the quarterback room success that they had, right? Of course, you wouldn't mind the success on the field. Like, I'm just keeping it a buck because they were, they were balling out. Yes, I know. OU sucks. I got it. But if that's what Sark can look at a guy like Roshan and his success, be able to tell a guy like Malik, just be patient. You come here and you talk about ultimate recruiting pitch. When you are able to tell guys like, man, I had Matt Castle. Look at what he did. I had Mac Jones. He played for basically like a year. And look at what he was able to do. Like, I had Matt Castle. I mean, he barely played. He got drafted. I had Roshan Johnson. He was the second string guy, and he got drafted. Imagine what he can not only tell his players, but to be able to tell other recruits how important that's going to be. Bijan Robinson, like, again, a guy who's poised to take over the NFL, a guy I think everyone's going to fall in love with. I think to that effect, it's going to be really good. And then, so there's a couple of interesting things. And this, I want you guys to get ready for me in the chat as well, because I will ask a question for you. But we got Roshan. Then, after that, we got DeMarvion, we got Keandre Morrow as potential, draft picks going forward. But here's where it gets really, 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 really interesting. I want you guys to get ready for me in the chat. Start thinking about 2024 for a second. 2023 is going to be a year where we're going to see Bijan drafted, we're going to see Roshan drafted, and we're going to see DeMarvion drafted. So we know there's going to be the 3. Probably see Keandre drafted as well. So we're probably going to see 4 for sure. I don't know about Morrow at this time. I wish him nothing but luck. I'm glad he's free. He can do all the media interviews that he wants to. But I don't know what's going to happen with Morrow. I don't know what happens with Cook. Like, I'm not quite sure for sure what happens with everyone else. But let's say for sure you've got 4 guys. What does 2024 potentially look like? If you had to think about it for a second, who are your sure shots? And this is where I want you to put in the chat. Who are the people that you feel like are the guys who are definite NFL draft picks going into the potential 2024 draft? And I'll give you the names because I had to go through it today, and I'll give you the names of the guys that I can think of. And I feel like, wait, something got cut off. Okay, here we go. Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Nayor, Jordan Whittington, Tatavian, Ryan Watts, Keelan Robinson, Jahdae Barron, Jaron Thompson, Jalen Ford, right? Christian Jones would be, unless he doesn't have like a 24th year of eligibility, he'll be a guy that's draft eligible. Barron Sorrell, Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Alfred Collins. Okay, and Alfred Collins clearly has to step up and live up to everything that he was as a freshman. But in the chat, I mean, who are the guys, like, who you say for sure these are the guys that I feel like will probably get drafted? I mean, we know Jalen Ford checks the box as far as he's going to get drafted. Quinn has a good season. He probably comes out. He's going to get drafted. That's like no brainer. I feel like Jactavian probably will come out after this year. That's 3 right there. But I can make it a case that, I'm sure Xavier's coming out. I'm sure Xavier's probably gets drafted. We'll see what happens with Nayor and Whittington. But you could probably make a case that 5, 6 or more guys get drafted off this team. And again, I'm just saying this right now. Jahdae Barron could be a guy that you look at and say to yourself, I think he's a guy that for sure gets drafted. Tavondre might get drafted. I mean, that could be at least 1, 2. I mean, that's about 7, right there. And I haven't gotten into the, again, the borderline guys, who you're just like, I'm not quite sure. Just think about how good this program is getting. Just think about how strong this program is getting. And again, it's not just always about the draft. The draft is just kind of that gateway in order to make sure you could actually get the recruits. By the way, someone help me out. What's the score of the game? Blake, do you have the score of the game in front of you by any chance? Because I don't know. I'm assuming the game's over. I think Blake has disappeared on me. Is that a final, Blake? It's done, 63-53. Okay, so how much time is left? Still going? Okay. Well, good, because we're going to wrap up in a second so we can watch the end of it. We got 7 minutes left. Okay, we're going to wrap up so we can watch the end of this whole thing. Timothy, I kind of addressed it in the beginning about Tom G and Eric Torres. Gave them the night off, but I got some special things planned for those guys in the future. You'll be able to see them a lot, so don't worry about that. They will be coming, and they will be coming soon. Hopefully back here, but you may be seeing them somewhere else on this channel. I'm just going to put that out there for you guys. The 2024 draft is going to be something that, again, gives them Texas a lot of momentum going into the SEC, which, of course, is going to be incredibly important as far as, keeping up with the Joneses, because if you can't recruit in the SEC, it's a wrap. Now, I used to say, how many 5 stars does it take to beat TCU out of frustration? I know how many 5 stars it's probably going to take to beat Alabama. I know how many 5 stars it's probably going to take to beat Georgia. You can go down the list at that point, and that's what's going to be more important in going forward. So, listen, game is going on. I've been going nearly an hour. So, listen, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. It's been fantastic. I'm going to try to make sure I get a good guest on next week. So that will be one of the goals. But I know spring practice gets started on Monday, so that should be fun. Next week is going to be geared up. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. But spring practice begins on Monday. We'll have a lot of good content in here. Overreaction Monday, that'll be happening. The modcast. But don't forget, last one time, Blake, put that promo up. If you're not on Orangebloods, now is the time to sign up. Get a free month for free. Free month for free is somewhat redundant, but you get a month free. And then at that month, you don't like it, but I bump these people. This website sucks. Or you can say, this website's awesome, which I think is what's going to end up happening, because I think once you go to Orangebloods, what are you going to say? Blake, I think to say, once you go orange, you never go back. You never go back.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Once you go OB, you never go back.
No, but seriously, we got spring football coverage. We got baseball starting up, basketball coverage. Come on, man. March Madness. Give it a chance. 30 days.
Poor Blake. He's so young. He has no clue what I was insinuating at. But any case, for my main man, Blake, who I love, for Eric Torres, for Tom G, those are my dudes who I absolutely love those guys and can't wait to get together with them soon. For the entire Orangewood staff, you guys have a great night. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you supporting the Drunk Gunk. I appreciate it. Always humbles me. Blake. I went to a Austin Spurs game with my youngest son over the weekend, and there was a band that just finished playing. And as I was walking past one of the band members, and I wish I have the card in my office, and I'll have to mention him that he goes, "Unc, I see you, Drunk Unc." I was like, "What's up?" So got a chance to rap with him and talk to him, and so I always appreciate all the love and support that you guys show me every time I'm out. Awesome. So again, until next week, you guys take care, enjoy yourself, be safe, and remember what I always say. Live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. We'll talk soon.